The silence of the ship was heavy, almost alive. Captain Daniel slowly opened his eyes. His body hurt, his chest felt like fire, and his head spun. The last thing he remembered was the battle, flashes of light, screaming radios, and the explosion that threw him into darkness. Now, he was not in his fighter. He was inside a strange room, walls glowing with a pale blue light. Daniel forced himself to sit up. His breathing echoed in the empty space. This was not a human ship. The walls looked like living skin, pulsing faintly as if the vessel itself was breathing. The floor was warm under his hands. A cold fear crawled into his chest. "Where am I?" he whispered. There was no answer. Only the low hum of the alien engines, steady and endless. Daniel's soldier mind told him to move, to search, to find a weapon. He staggered forward, leaning on the wall. The light shifted at his touch, like water rippling. Then he heard it. A soft sound, like a child's voice. "Father?" Daniel froze. His heart kicked against his ribs. Slowly, he turned his head. A small figure stood in the shadows of the corridor. She was no taller than a human child, maybe 10 years old. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes large and glowing faint blue. But her face carried shapes too familiar. A nose, lips, even the curve of her cheeks. She looked almost human. "Who are you?" Daniel's voice was rough, weak. The girl stepped closer. Her bare feet made no sound. She tilted her head, and her voice was soft, almost trembling. "Human. I want you to be my father." Daniel's stomach tightened. His soldier training screamed trap. This was no rescue. This was something else, something dangerous. "I don't know who or what you are," Daniel said. He pushed himself back, looking for an exit. "Stay away from me." But the girl didn't stop. She walked slowly, carefully. Her glowing eyes locked on him. "You are alive because I saved you. The ship listens to me. It carried you here when your fighter burned. Without me, you would be dead." Daniel stared at her. Saved? Why? The girl stopped just a few steps away. She lowered her head, and her voice cracked like breaking glass. "I was made, but I was never given a family. I want you to be my father." For a moment, Daniel's mind went blank. Memories stabbed at him. His own daughter years ago, laughing in their small home on Earth. A daughter he would never see again. He had buried that pain deep. And now, here, an alien child called him father. "This is some sick trick," Daniel growled. His voice was sharp, but inside, he felt something he did not want to feel. Before he could move, the ship shook violently. A deep alarm screamed through the walls, not sound but vibration. The girl gasped and turned her glowing eyes to the ceiling. "They found us," she whispered. Daniel grabbed the wall to steady himself. "Who found us?" Her answer was quick, terrified. "The hunters. They want me. They want to take me away." The lights dimmed, then flared red. The corridor trembled as something struck the ship from outside. Daniel could almost hear the roar of engines beyond the walls. "Listen to me, child," Daniel said, his soldier instincts returning. "If this is your ship, then hide me, send me back. I don't want any part of your war." But the girl shook her head fiercely. "No, I chose you. You are my father now. I will not let them take me." Daniel's jaw tightened. This was madness. He had no weapon, no control, and now he was tied to a strange, alien child who thought he was her parent. The floor shuddered again. Metal screamed outside. Something was forcing its way in. The girl suddenly grabbed his hand. Her skin was warm, almost human. Daniel tried to pull back, but her grip was stronger than he expected. "Trust me," Jan, she said, her glowing eyes fierce now. "If they break through, they will kill you. But with me, you can survive." Daniel stared at her. He wanted to refuse, to pull away, to run. But deep inside, a voice whispered, the same voice that once told him to protect his real daughter. The walls split open at the far end of the corridor. Strange shadows moved inside the smoke. The hunters were boarding. Daniel's heart pounded. He looked at the child, at her silver skin and human eyes. She whispered again, soft but desperate. "Father." And in that moment, Captain Daniel realized his choice. The corridor filled with red light, the ship howled under enemy fire, and the first shadow stepped inside. The corridor was red with warning lights. Smoke hissed from the cracked walls. The hunters were breaking inside. Daniel stood frozen, his hands still locked in the child's grip. Her glowing eyes did not blink. The first hunter stepped through the smoke. He was tall, armored in black metal, his face hidden behind a mask shaped like bone. In his hand was a weapon that hummed with deadly power. Behind him, more shadows moved, their heavy boots shaking the floor. Daniel's heart pounded. He had faced enemies before, but these creatures were different. There was no hesitation in their movements. They were hunters. They wanted the girl, and they would kill him without a thought. The child pulled Daniel forward. "This way," she cried. He resisted. "I don't even know who you are." But then the hunter raised his weapon. A bolt of energy ripped past Daniel's shoulder and burned a hole in the wall. Instinct took over. Daniel ran, his body moving before his mind caught up. The girl led him down twisting corridors. The ship seemed to open for her, walls sliding apart, doors unlocking, pathways lighting up. It was like the vessel obeyed her thoughts. Daniel realized she wasn't just living here. She was connected to it. They reached a chamber filled with glowing pillars. The girl released his hand and placed her palm on one of the pillars. At once, the ship trembled. Panels slid open, and strange alien symbols lit up around them. Daniel looked at her, confused and out of breath. "What are you doing?" Her voice was calm now. "Protecting us. The ship will listen to me." The floor rumbled, and heavy doors slammed shut behind them. The hunters pounded against the metal, their weapons cutting through, but the doors held. For now. Daniel stared at the child. "What are you?" he asked. She looked at him with those bright eyes. "My name is Eria. I was made here. I have no family. But I chose you." Daniel shook his head. "Chose me? I'm just a soldier. I can't be your father." Aria's lips trembled. "You already are. You fought for me, even when you did not want to. You could have run, but you stayed." Daniel opened his mouth to argue, but the ship shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. The hunters were close. Aria pressed her hand deeper into the glowing pillar. The chamber's walls shifted, forming seats, controls, and strange weapons. A chair rose from the floor and locked Daniel into it before he could resist. "What the hell is this?" Daniel struggled, but the straps held him tight. "The ship trusts you because I trust you," Aria said. "It will give you the power to fight." The chair lit up, screens forming around him. Strange symbols appeared, but somehow Daniel understood them. His mind connected with the alien systems, as if the ship was speaking directly into his brain. Outside, hunters swarmed across the hull. Through the ship's eyes, Daniel could see them, dozens of armored figures attaching weapons to the skin of the vessel, trying to cut their way in. "They won't stop," Daniel muttered. "No," Aria agreed softly. "They will never stop until they have me." Daniel's hands, guided by instinct and the ship's connection, found the weapon controls. Turrets unfolded from the hull, energy cannons char. Jed. The hunters looked up in shock. Daniel fired. Bright beams of light cut through the enemy, throwing them off the ship into the void. Explosions lit the dark. For a moment, Daniel almost smiled, until more ships appeared in the distance, sliding out of warp space. "There's too many," he said. Aria's small hand touched his arm. "I will help you. Together we can survive." Her touch calmed him, but also scared him. He was beginning to feel the bond she wanted so badly. And that was dangerous. A soldier could not allow himself to care, not again. Still, he kept firing. One enemy ship exploded, then another, but the hunters kept coming, like wolves surrounding prey. Why do they want you? Daniel shouted over the alarms. Arya's eyes grew dark. Because I am not only a child, I am also a key. Inside me is something they fear, something they desire. That is why I need you, Father. Daniel's chest tightened at the word. He wanted to deny it, to shout at her, to demand answers. But before he could speak, a massive impact struck the ship. Systems flickered, alarms screamed, and Daniel felt the chair spark beneath him. The enemy had fired a boarding spear, giant hooks that locked into the ship's skin. The hunters were forcing their way inside. Arya's voice was urgent now. We must run again. Follow me. The chair released him, and Daniel stumbled out. Smoke filled the chamber, sparks falling like fire rain. Arya grabbed his hand again, pulling him through another corridor. Behind them, metal screeched. The hunters were cutting their way in. Daniel looked down at the child holding his hand. Her small fingers were warm, human-like, but her glowing eyes told another story. For the first time, he asked himself, was she really a child? Or was she something far more dangerous? Ahead, the corridor opened into darkness. The hunter's footsteps echoed closer, and Arya whispered again, almost pleading, Please, Father, trust me. Daniel clenched his jaw. He didn't trust her, but he had no choice. They ebbed into the shadows as the hunters finally broke through behind them. The darkness of the corridor seemed endless. Daniel's boots struck the floor in heavy steps, his breath sharp and fast. Arya's small hand pulled him forward with surprising strength. Behind them, the hunter's footsteps echoed like drums of war. Where are you taking me? Daniel demanded. To the heart of the ship, Arya answered without looking back. It is the only place they cannot touch. Her voice was steady, but Daniel heard the tremor under it. She was afraid, yet still guiding him. That unsettled him even more. They turned sharply into a circular chamber. The walls pulsed with soft blue light, and a glowing pool of liquid energy shimmered at the center. Daniel stopped, staring. The liquid seemed alive, like a swirling star trapped in a bowl. What is this place? He asked. Arya knelt beside the pool. The glow reflected in her pale silver skin and human-like face. This is where I was made, she whispered. This is my beginning. Daniel frowned. Made? Not born? She dipped her fingers into the liquid. Ripples spread, and images appeared on the surface. Shadows of scientists in long robes, machines humming, a child floating in a glass chamber. A child with glowing eyes. Daniel's heart clenched. It was her. They used human DNA, Arya said softly. They took it from a soldier long ago. They mixed it with their own design. I am both human and not human. Daniel took a step back, his throat dry. Why would they do that? Arya looked up at him. Her eyes glowed brighter. To create a bridge. A child who could control their machines but also carry human spirit. But they never gave me love. They never gave me a family. That is why I chose you. The words struck Daniel harder than any weapon. His chest felt heavy. Images of his real daughter flashed in his mind. Her smile, her laughter, the way she ran into his arms. She had been lost to him, stolen by war, and now here was this strange alien girl asking him to be something he could never be again. He clenched his fists. You don't understand. I'm not your father. I already failed once. Arya's lips trembled, but she did not cry. You didn't fail. You fought for me. That is what fathers do. Before Daniel could answer, the chamber shook violently. The liquid pool splashed upward, glowing drops flying like sparks. The hunters were close again. Arya rose quickly. They cannot be allowed to reach this place. If they touch the heart, they can take me. Daniel growled. You keep saying that. Why do they want you? Her voice was sharp now, filled with fear. Because I am not only a child. I am also a key. Daniel's eyes narrowed. A key to what? Arya hesitated. For the first time, She looked away from him, ashamed. To the ancient weapon. The weapon that can end worlds. The words hung heavy in the air. Daniel felt his stomach twist. Now it made sense. The hunters, their obsession, the endless chase. She wasn't just a little girl looking for a father. She was the most dangerous secret in the galaxy. "You should have told me," Daniel snapped. His voice was filled with anger but also fear. "All this time I thought you were just a child, but you're a weapon." Arya shook her head violently, tears glowing in her eyes. "No, I don't want to be a weapon. That's why I need you. You can keep me human. You can keep me safe." Daniel's mind raged. Trust her? Protect her? Or hand her over before she destroyed everything? The soldier in him said one thing. The man who once had a daughter said another. The chamber doors shuddered. Cracks glowed as the hunters burned their way through. Daniel reached for the alien controls at the edge of the room. Symbols lit up, offering him power. Turrets, energy blasts, deadly defenses. Arya stepped close to him, placing her small hand on his chest. "Please, Father, don't give me to them. Don't let me become what they want," Daniel says, teared down at her. His hand hovered over the controls. His heart thundered in his chest. The doors finally exploded inward. The hunters stormed inside, their weapons raised, their masks shining in the blue glow. Daniel's finger pressed the control. The chamber lit with fire. The battle for Arya had begun. The chamber exploded with chaos. The hunters stormed through the broken doors, their armored boots striking the floor like thunder. Weapons glowed in their hands, red energy humming with death. Daniel threw himself behind a pillar as blasts of fire lit the air. Sparks rained down, burning the walls. The hunters moved with perfect precision, silent, relentless. Their masks reflected the glow of battle like hollow skulls. Arya stood in the center of the chamber, her small frame shining against the storm. Her glowing eyes widened with fear, but she did not run. She looked at Daniel. "Father, fight!" she cried. The words stabbed his heart. He didn't want it. He couldn't accept it. Yet his hands were already moving. His soldier instincts took over. He slammed his palm onto the alien controls beside him. At once, the chamber came alive. Cannons dropped from the ceiling. Spears of light shot from the walls. The ship roared like a living beast, answering Daniel's will. Hunters fell, their armor cracking under blasts of alien fire. But more surged forward, climbing over the dead, weapons raised. Daniel grabbed a strange rifle that unfolded from the wall. Its shape was alien, but its weight felt familiar in his hands. He fired. Bolts of blue light tore through the air, ripping into the enemy ranks. "Move, Arya!" Daniel shouted, but she didn't move. She pressed her hands against the glowing pool at the chamber's center. The liquid energy swirled wildly, and the ship's defenses grew stronger. It was her. She was amplifying the weapons. Daniel ducked behind cover as a blast scorched past his head. His lungs burned, his arms ached, but he kept fighting. The enemy commander stepped through the smoke, a larger hunter, armor thicker, his mask carved with strange symbols. He raised his clawed hand and shouted in a language Daniel could not understand. The hunters spread, surrounding the chamber. Daniel cursed under his breath. "They're cutting us off." Arya's voice shook. "They want me alive, but they will kill you." Daniel looked at her. She was right. They didn't care about him. He was nothing to them. But if they took her, everything would end. The commander leveled his weapon at Arya. Without thinking, Daniel leapt from cover. He threw himself between the commander and the girl. The blast hit him square in the chest. Pain exploded through his body. He fell hard, smoke rising from his armor. His vision blurred, the world spinning. "Daniel!" Arya screamed. For the first time she used his name, not father. She ran to him, kneeling beside his broken body. Daniel coughed, forcing air into his lungs. His hands trembled, but he still held the alien rifle. "Stay behind me," he growled. Tears glowed in Arya's eyes. She pressed her small hands over his wound. and warmth spread through him. His pain dulled, his strength slowly returned. She was healing him, using the ship's energy, using herself. The commander strode closer, weapon ready to fire again. Daniel pushed himself up, rage burning through his weakness. He fired with everything he had. Bolts of blue light tore into the commander's armor. The hunter staggered, but did not fall. "Leave him!" the commander roared in his alien tongue. "Take the child!" The hunters rushed forward. Daniel knew he couldn't hold them forever. He looked at Arya, her small hands glowing as she poured life into him. He had already made his choice. "Run, Arya," he said, his voice sharp, commanding. "Find a way out." But she shook her head violently. "No, I will not leave you." Another blast ripped into the pillar behind them, sending shards flying. Daniel shielded her with his body, the shards cutting into his arms and back. His blood spilled, but he didn't care. He fought on, every shot tearing into the enemy ranks. The hunters closed in, but Daniel refused to fall. He wasn't fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for her. "You fight like a father," Arya whispered through tears. The words nearly broke him, but there was no time to think, no time to feel. The commander raised his weapon again, aiming straight at the girl. Daniel roared and lunged forward. He tackled the commander, both of them crashing into the glowing pool. Light swallowed them, burning hot and blinding. Arya screamed his name. The chamber shook violently. The hunters hesitated, shielding their eyes. Daniel and the commander vanished into the swirling energy. For a heartbeat, silence ruled. Then the pool erupted. A shockwave threw the hunters against the walls. Their armor cracked, their weapons shattered. Smoke and light filled the chamber. Arya crawled to the edge of the pool, eyes wide with terror. "Daniel," she cried. "Father!" From within the glow, a shadow moved. Someone was rising from the light. The light from the glowing pool faded slowly, leaving smoke and silence in the chamber. Hunters lay broken against the walls, their black armor cracked and lifeless. The air smelled of burned metal and ozone. From the pool, a figure staggered out. Daniel. His chest plate was scorched, his arms bleeding, but he was alive. His eyes burned with fierce determination. Behind him, the commander's body drifted back into the liquid, swallowed by the glowing depths. Arya ran to Daniel, tears shining on her pale face. She clutched his arm tightly. "You came back. I thought you were gone." Daniel coughed, his voice rough. "Not yet." He looked around at the wreckage. "But they'll be back. They always come back." He leaned heavily on the wall. His body ached, but it wasn't just pain filling him. It was doubt. He looked at Arya, the strange child with glowing eyes, the one who called him father. She was the reason he was alive, but she was also the reason the hunters would never stop. "You didn't tell me everything," Daniel said, his voice sharp. Arya lowered her gaze. "I told you the truth." "No," Daniel snapped. "You told me half the truth. You are not only a child. You are a weapon, and they are here for that weapon, not for you." Her lip trembled. "I don't want to be a weapon. I want to be your daughter." Daniel felt a pang in his chest, but he pushed it down. Wanting doesn't change what you are. The ship groaned around them. Distant alarms wailed. The hunters outside were regrouping. Daniel could almost feel the weight of their fleet pressing down on them. "We need to move," he muttered. Arya nodded, but her eyes still glistened with tears. She led him through a hidden passage that opened at her touch. The corridor stretched long and dim, shadows dancing on the walls. As they walked, Daniel's thoughts twisted. He remembered the way she had healed him, how the ship obeyed her commands, how she had called him father, even when he refused her. Was it real, or was it manipulation? He thought of his real daughter, long gone. His heart wanted to protect Arya, but his mind screamed caution. They entered another chamber, smaller, darker. Strange alien screens floated in the air, showing star maps and enemy ships closing in. Arya placed her hand on the controls. "They will not stop. she whispered. They want the key inside me. But with you, I can resist them. Daniel frowned. Why me? Why not anyone else? Because you fight for me, Arya said softly. You fight with your heart, not only with weapons. The ship feels it. I feel it. That is why I chose you. Her words cut deep, but Daniel's voice was cold. Or maybe you chose me because you needed a soldier, a protector, someone to keep you alive until you can use that weapon yourself. Arya's glowing eyes widened in shock. No, that is not true. Isn't it? Daniel growled. How do I know this isn't a trick? How do I know you won't turn against me? Her voice cracked. Because I am not like them. I want to be human. I want to be yours. Daniel turned away, his hands trembling. The doubt gnawed at him. Was she really a lost child, desperate for family, or a living weapon pretending to be one? Before he could answer himself, the ship shook violently. Red lights flared, and alarms screamed in alien tones. They are boarding again, Arya said quickly, her voice shook. Daniel grabbed the alien rifle, his face hardened. Then let them come. The doors burst open, and hunters poured in once more. Blasts of red energy filled the chamber. Daniel fired back, his shots tearing into their ranks. The battle raged again. Arya pressed both hands against the controls. The ship responded, firing beams from hidden turrets, but the strain was too much. Her body trembled, her face pale. Daniel saw her weakening, but he couldn't stop fighting. He pushed forward, cutting down hunters with precision and fury. The enemy commander's voice echoed through the chamber speakers, dark and cruel. Human, you fight well, but you cannot protect her forever. She is ours. She was made for us. Daniel growled, firing at the screens. Over my dead body. The commander laughed. That can be arranged. The hunters pressed harder. Daniel was forced back, step by step. Arya cried out, collapsing to her knees. Daniel rushed to her side, firing blindly. He knelt beside her, holding her trembling shoulders. I can't. Hold them, Arya whispered. Daniel's heart twisted. He looked at her glowing eyes, full of pain and desperation. She was a weapon, yes, but right now, she was also just a child. He squeezed her hand tightly. Then we'll hold them together. Her small fingers clutched his wabiwa. Its surprising strength. The ship roared, responding to both of them. Energy surged through the walls, burning the hunters where they stood. The chamber fell silent again, filled only with smoke and Daniel's ragged breathing. He looked at Arya. She was pale, exhausted, her body shaking. She looked up at him with weak eyes. Do you trust me now? She asked, softly. Daniel didn't answer. He couldn't. His heart wanted to say yes, but his mind whispered no. He simply looked away. But in the shadows of the chamber, the enemy commander watched from a hidden projection, his mask gleaming. His voice was a whisper only he could hear. Good. Let the human doubt. It will break them both. The chamber was quiet, filled with smoke and the smell of burned metal. Daniel stood over the broken bodies of hunters, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. His rifle hummed, its power almost drained. Beside him, Arya leaned weakly against the wall. Her silver skin was pale, her glowing eyes dim. She looked like a dying star. Daniel crouched near her. You pushed yourself too far, he said. I had to, she whispered. If I stop, we both die. Daniel gritted his teeth. He hated this. Hated depending on a child. Hated watching her suffer. Yet without her, he would already be dead. Before he could answer, the ship shook violently. The floor split, sparks bursting from the walls. Alarms screamed in alien tones. Daniel looked at the screens, his stomach dropped. Dozens of hunter ships surrounded them. A whole fleet. They've brought everything, Daniel muttered. They want you that badly. Arya's voice was small, almost broken. It's because of what I am. Daniel's hands tightened on the rifle. He looked at her. Then we give them nothing. The ship roared as the hunters began their assault. Hulls clamped onto the vessel, drilling spears cutting deep. Dozens, maybe hundreds of hunters were boarding. Daniel pulled Arya to her feet. We end this here. Together. She looked at him, tears glowing in her eyes. Tug, there? For now, he said. The ship's corridors became a battlefield. Daniel fought with brutal precision, every shot dropping hunters where they stood. He moved like a man possessed, fueled by rage and determination. But for every enemy that fell, more stormed in. The ship was drowning in shadows. Arya stumbled beside him, her hands pressed to the walls. The ship answered her touch. Turrets unfolded, energy beams fired, traps closed on hunters. But each command drained her more. Her small body trembled, her face pale as snow. Don't stop, Daniel shouted. I can't hold much longer, she gasped. They reached the central chamber again, the glowing pool of energy. It pulsed wildly, as if the ship itself was in pain. Daniel dragged Arya inside, slamming the doors shut behind them. Hunters pounded on the other side, their weapons slicing through the metal. Arya collapsed near the pool, her voice cracked. They won't stop. They'll break through. And then, she looked up at him, fear and sadness mixing in her glowing eyes. They'll take me, and you'll die. Daniel dropped to one knee beside her. He grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. Listen to me. You are not theirs. Do you hear me? Not now, not ever. She shook her head weakly. But I am the key. If they force me. Daniel cut her off. Then we fight until there's nothing left. I don't care what you are. You are not their weapon. The doors cracked. Smoke poured in. The hunters were almost inside. Arya's small hand reached for his. Then be my father. Just this once. So I can be strong. Daniel's chest tightened. For years, he had locked away that word. Father. He had failed before, lost the one who mattered most. But here, in this moment, he could not deny her. His voice was rough but steady. Then fight, daughter. Fight with me. Arya's eyes blazed like stars. The ship roared, brighter and louder than ever. The pool of energy rose like a storm, wrapping her in light. She stood tall, her small body shining with impossible power, tightening. He stood tall, his voice sharp as steel. You'll have to go through me first. The commander laughed. You are only one man. Daniel's eyes burned with fury. I'm a father. That makes me more than you can ever understand. The ship roared, responding to his words. Weapons unfolded from the hull, cannons glowing with fresh power. Energy surged through the vessel like blood in veins. Daniel placed Arya gently in a chair connected to the glowing pool. Rest now. I'll finish this. She grabbed his hand weakly. Not alone. We fight together. He wanted to argue, but her grip was firm despite her weakness. He nodded once. Together. The walls opened, and controls wrapped around Daniel's arms. He felt the ship connect to his mind, stronger than before. He saw through its eyes, the fleet outside, ready to destroy them. The first enemy volley hit. The ship shook, but this time it held. Daniel fired back. Beams of light cut through space, tearing enemy ships apart. Explosions lit the void. Arya's energy flowed into him, guiding his hands, strengthening his will. They moved as one, human and child, soldier and daughter. Enemy ships exploded one after another, but the commander's vessel remained. It was massive, armored, dark as night. Its weapons charged, brighter than suns. Daniel growled. He's coming. Arya squeezed his hand. Her voice was soft but fierce. Then we show him what family means. The commander's ship fired. A beam of death raced toward them. Daniel and Arya screamed together, their voices merging. The ship unleashed its full power, a blast brighter than stars. Light consumed everything. The battlefield went silent. When the glow faded, the enemy fleet was gone, scattered wrecks drifting in the dark. Only the commander's ship remained, damaged but still alive. Daniel collapsed back in his chair, sweat pouring down his face. Arya leaned, weakly against him, her glow faint but steady. She whispered, almost asleep, "You said it. I am your daughter." Daniel looked at her, his heart heavy but filled with something he thought he had lost forever. Hope. He brushed her silver hair back gently. "And I won't let anyone take you from me." Outside, the commander's ship turned slowly, retreating into the shadows of space. His voice echoed one last time, filled with dark promise. "This is not over, human. I will return. And when I do, you will lose her." Daniel held Arya close, his jaw tight, his eyes burning with defiance. "Not while I'm alive." The stars stretched before them, endless and unknown. Their fight was far from finished. But for the first time, Daniel no longer felt alone. He had a daughter again, and he would fight the whole galaxy to protect her.